Watching News at Prime, let's get into this conversation now. The Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Basic Education is warning of catastrophic consequences as schools face budget cuts. The Western Cape government has revealed that it will not renew 2,400 teaching jobs as a result. Now, the Basic Education Department is expected to meet with Treasury in an effort to address this problem. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Basic Education, the chairperson of that committee is Joy Maimela, who joins us now for this conversation. Good evening to you, chairperson, and good to talk to you. Let's start with the reasoning for these budget cuts. What is the department telling you about why it seems to be on the receiving end of these budget cuts?
Thank you very much, and good evening to you, Goli, and good evening to the viewers at home. Goli, you would understand that there is currently economic constraints. Our economy has not been growing as anticipated as government generally, and all departments have received budget cuts across the board, and the Department of Basic Education is no exception. However, Goli, you must know that as a portfolio committee, we're gravely concerned about the implications of these budget cuts on the quality of learning and teaching, and also on the ability of the department to provide universal and accessible quality basic education.
Yeah, and that concern as to how this is going to be the consequence for learners in class is perhaps one issue that needs to be borne in mind. And as you mention it, the understanding here is that these budget cuts are going to result in a host of challenges. I just want to read for you quickly in this document I have, because the understanding is that public schools in South Africa face a host of challenges, and these include poor maintenance, inadequate infrastructure, insufficient teaching and learning material. When you just look at that list alone, does that worry you that the deterioration is going to deepen?
Indeed, Goli, it has to worry us as a portfolio committee representing the public. And of course, it worries parents, it worries learners, and it worries all stakeholders that are part and parcel of the basic education sector. We have schools where we are not necessarily satisfied with the standard and norms. We believe they've not reached the standard and norms. We have issues of challenges of school infrastructure in this country. You would understand that the department has literally currently committed to ensuring that we eradicate pit latrine toilets by March 2025. And obviously, the overall school infrastructure, especially in your rural areas, in your informal settlement areas, and also in your townships. So with that, and the issue of the learner-teacher ratio is still a concern in this country. There are other areas that we've received concerns about overcrowding in schools. And of course, we are trying as a country to enhance our curriculum, to ensure that our curriculum is fit for 21st century skill set. The introduction of coding and robotics, and the integration of ICT in our schools. And that requires an adequate number of skilled teachers to be at school in time. So the budget cuts actually speak to that, speak directly to the ability of the Department of Basic Education to provide and to deliver on their commitments, because these are commitments that are made in their own APP. So we are gravely concerned, and obviously this concerns every stakeholder that is involved in the basic education sector.
Yeah. Equal Education, which is the advocacy group on education matters says the physical state of public schools is not the only problem and is obviously not only going to be exacerbated by these budget cuts, but their other concern is that provincial education departments, as pointed out by the Auditor General, are the third highest wasteful spenders of all government departments. And this is where you come in as the committee in terms of oversight. What's being done about that?
Correctly put, Koli, that one of the key oversight priority that is going to be the key focus of the committee is to ensure that there is efficient utilization of the resources that are already limited. So we've got a responsibility as a portfolio committee to ensure that the budget allocated for different items is actually spent accordingly, it is spent efficiently, and it is spent effectively. We've got to ensure that there is consequence management where budget and monies and resources of the state are not utilized according to the budget and are not utilized according to the plans that have been communicated. Where there is a leakage in terms of any identified wrongdoing by those that are responsible to handle and manage public resources, there ought to be consequence management. And I think that is an aspect that as government, we've been actually lagging behind in terms of ensuring that we hold those that are responsible for efficiently managing public resources, especially under the current conditions where there is fiscal constraints across the board. So we are going to be ensuring that we enhance our oversight role, we enhance ensuring that we hold the executive to account, and we're going to ensure that we monitor the implementation and management of the resources that are allocated to provincial departments as well.
Between the year 2011 and 2021, 29% of the budget allocated to infrastructure grants was not spent. This is according to the Auditor General. And between 2018 and 2021, a shocking 5.7 billion rand was irregularly spent. This was before the current Minister of Basic Education under the GNU. Do you have confidence that the new minister is going to see to it that consequence management is implemented, as you say?
Actually, we can confirm to you that as a portfolio committee under the 7th administration, we've received what you would call a legacy report. So this report takes you through the projects that the department, the previous administration had undertaken, the challenges that were discovered during the work of the last administration or the former administration. And there were issues that were pointed out by the Auditor General, except the fact that the Auditor General also did say to us that there was an improvement in this department in terms of audit and finance management. So you must understand that government does not work in silos. The current ministry, the current administration that takes over from the former administration, it takes on the projects, some of the projects, some of the work that was actually started by the former administration. So we've got confidence. We've got confidence in the current government as much as we believe that the former administration tried their best. And of course, the department, when they briefed us as a portfolio committee, they did mention that to some extent, they were raising concerns about implementing agencies that were given the responsibility to fast track or to oversee or to implement infrastructure projects that were undertaken in different provinces. And they were saying that with other implementing agencies, and you'd have heard this from the minister herself responding in Parliament 2 days ago, that, a few days ago, that they are having serious challenges with implementing agents, and the department has developed a turnaround strategy on how they are going to discipline the implementing agents that have led and have disappointed the department over time. But we've got full confidence in our government, and we are going to be monitoring them closely as a portfolio committee to ensure that they deliver, because these concerns the education of our people. It concerns the education of those who depend on this government the most, and these are children who are from the working class and the poor backgrounds.
Yeah, and there already is a huge issue with improving matric completion rates. As a final question to you, Ms. Maimela, the Minister of Basic Education, as we mentioned in the introduction, is expected to meet with her National Treasury counterpart. I assume this would be a meeting with Minister Godongwana. What would your message be to the minister who holds the public purse, particularly as it relates to these budget cuts affecting the very future of our country, which is the children?
The message will be very clear, Xoli, that the scope of basic education in this country has been extended. I mean, I've just spoken about curriculum enhancement that is expected by the 7th administration. You would also engage on the ECD integration from from social development to basic education. You would speak about the teacher-learner ratio. You would speak about many other issues. And we are now also focusing on learners with special needs. And you are focusing on different aspects, infrastructure improvement, enhancing our educational infrastructure to ensure that you are able to enhance the curriculum. So all that requires resources. And we want to say that this cannot be possible if you don't have teachers in class. So the current issue of declaring posts and the number of posts that are declared not to be funded under the current fiscal conditions, I think the minister should raise it very sharply with the Minister of with the Minister of Finance, to say that we can't exacerbate the unemployment situation that we have as a country. And also we ought to ensure that we improve STEM subjects performance. And for you to do that, you need skilled teachers in class. And if you're going to enhance the curriculum, obviously you're going to need skilled teachers. So you need more teachers in class. You need to have personalized learning and teaching time. So you need at least not overcrowded classes. So we are saying to the Minister of Basic Education, when she engages with the Minister of Finance, that it ought to be clear that the future of our children depends on the quality of education that they receive. And we ought to prioritize that. So basic education has to be a priority of this government. And as a result, government ought to prioritize it even when it comes to resources.
As a parting shot, I'd like to pose one final question on you as a committee when it comes to better oversight. The basic education space has been mired in a number of controversies. I think this is when it comes to the districts. There is the so-called selling of posts. There was at one point the sex for jobs scandal. As a committee, are you on top of these issues?
We are definitely on top of these issues, Xoli. We held an induction workshop, I think 2 weeks ago, where we had all the provinces and all the stakeholders, and we are continuing to engage different and various stakeholders. That includes the SGB's organization, that includes the workers, organized labor, organized teachers, but also we're going to be conducting an oversight in October, the first week of October, as a portfolio committee. However, we are so responsive, and we are actually engaging in a process where when we receive complaints, because we must tell you, we receive complaints from various individuals, from various organizations daily as a portfolio committee on some of the issues that you are raising, on allegations on some of the issues that you are raising. We ensure as a portfolio committee that there is a response given, an adequate response given. We probe these issues. We say to the department, we want them to actually investigate these issues, and we want responses so that we're able to respond to those who have complained. So on top of these issues, and we're going to ensure that ensuring that the executive is accountable, but also playing our oversight, is going to be a very, very, very busy 5 years, because we're going to be on the ground. We're going to be on top of things, because our people deserve that. They deserve a parliament that speaks on their behalf and that sees things and that responds on things on time.
Joy Maimela is the chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. Thank you very much for your time.